Heartbreak in the upper ranks of the Iranian military at the official announcement of the death of Major General Qassem Soleimani, the commander of Iran's Quds Force, the Revolutionary Guard unit responsible for foreign operations. Soleimani was killed in a U.S. drone strike in Baghdad. And anger at Friday prayers in the Iranian capital for the assassination of a man who led the charge against ISIL in Iraq and Syria, and whose death seems likely to lead to more conflict.
God willing, it is now time to clear and cleanse the region of these devils. It is now time to show more resistance to the Americans and show our resistance with action, to tell those Yankees to get out of here, get lost.
In the early hours of Friday morning, shortly after arriving at Baghdad International Airport, U.S. missiles killed Soleimani and his close ally, Abu Mahdi al-Muhandis, the deputy head of the Iranian-backed Iraqi militia, Hashd al-Shabi. Other members of the group were also killed in the attack. A drone strike hit their convoy as they left the airport. For Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, Soleimani was a trusted confidant, a member of his inner circle. His killing in a targeted attack, the most extreme escalation in tensions between Tehran and Washington in recent years. Khamenei warned there will be revenge.
The cruelest people on earth assassinated the honorable commander who courageously fought for years against the evils and bandits of the world. Soleimani's martyrdom will make Iran more decisive to resist America's expansionism and to defend our Islamic values. With no doubt, Iran and other freedom-seeking countries in the region will take his revenge.
In Tehran, senior leaders met in an emergency meeting of Iran's National Security Council. Many Iranians see the U.S. attack as an act of war.
Across the region, there will be implications. Anywhere where there's an American military presence, Americans should leave those countries immediately. But if I was in the Emirates, I would leave now. If I was an American in Iraq, I would leave now. If I was an American any part in Southwest Asia, I would leave immediately.
The United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights described the killings as a likely violation of international law.
The idea that Iran is not going to respond is wishful thinking that will make the debacle of invading Iraq look like a walk in the park. I do not think that President Trump really understands what he's gotten the United States into going up against Iran. I would argue that going to war with Iran will be the most significant adversary that the United States has encountered since World War II.
U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo tweeted a video showing Iraqis celebrating the attack, while Soleimani enjoyed widespread support for leading the charge to displace ISIL from Iraqi strongholds. Some Iraqis blame Iran for instability and interference in their country, and Soleimani directly for the deaths of more than 500 Iraqis in violent anti-government protests, which began in October. Feared by his enemies, inside Iran, Soleimani has for years been one of the most popular national figures in the country. The international face of Iranian resistance to American pressure, he remained largely untouched by the waning popularity in recent years of the country's government over economic issues. While there is talk of revenge, many Iranians don't want to see a war.
Mr. Trump unfortunately acted decisively, saying that we won't go for war, but pushed the issue to war. The leaders must exercise restraint so that the tension in the region wouldn't increase further, because this can have very serious consequences for the countries in the region.
It will definitely increase violence, but I fundamentally disagree with violence and conflict. I believe people moving toward peace and negotiation to reach their goals is much better.
Iranians looked on Soleimani as someone who could protect them. Cut down at the height of his popularity by a U.S. strike, his death marks the lowest point in Iran-U.S. relations in decades. Zein, Basravi, Al Jazeera.